to yell, I'm okay with that.
JP, what's up, dude? Hey, when you write $100,000 a month, you could yell, you can do whatever you want. So, hey, man, thank you for joining me today. JP has been consistently just stretching the standard with Family First Life, man. And that's something that I just say I appreciate it, because I know when I got started before at the other deal, if you wrote like 200 grand a year, it was a big deal. You remember that, JP? Like if you wrote 200 grand, they'd roll out the red carpet, they'd throw flowers at you like you had just conquered the world. And because of that, man, it kind of limited me. You know, I thought like, hey, this is good enough. Like this is capacity. And then I joined Family First Life, and Mark Mead's like, hey, I hear you about the whole 20K, but I think you should do 20K every two weeks. And then he writes 40,000. And then that next year, man, it kind of raised the standard and expectation that I had on myself. And I went out and wrote 400,000 that following year. And then JP comes on, and it's like, hey, I think 40,000 is good a week, you know? And what you're doing, man, it's exciting, dude. And it sets a standard. And I think it builds belief for everybody that says like, hey man, like, why can't I go out and write business like that? You know, JP's doing it, and he's going to tell me how to do it. And that's kind of the purpose of this call and interview, is to, you know, have everybody lean in, listen in, grab a pen, a piece of paper. But I know your heart pretty good, JP, because we've known each other for a while, and I know that you want to do your best to serve and see agents go out there and do the same thing that you're doing. And so that's kind of the purpose of this, is to let them know, reveal what it looks like to go out and write that kind of business. So thank you for being on with us, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, man.
So let's start with the first question. You know, when did the tipping point take place? Like, because I know that there's some agents that, you know, they're writing 20K and they want to write 40. There might be some that are writing 40 and they want to write 80. And some are wanting, you know, they're writing 5 and they want to write 10, 15. You know, what was that shift? How did that take place, or what led to that shift where you're writing like 20, 30 grand a month, and then you're like, you know what, I'm just going to go out there and write 70, 60, 70, 80 grand a month in paid business? How did that take place?
I mean, just like you were saying a little earlier, it's just right now I'm in a place where I'm like, you know what, I don't have no lid on myself. It's just, you know, looking at I'm a $40,000 producer. That only means you up to what it takes to do 40. So if now I'm saying to myself, I'm like, you watch Steve G, you know, kill it 1 month, 137,000. I'm like, hold on. I'm like, what? And that very next month, I'm like, all right, dude, you could at least do 100.
Yeah.
100. And it was just, you know, go out there and get it done. I mean, look, I promise you, everyone has more time than they think. And then when you start tracking every little bit of time you have, it's just lights out. I'm like, all right, I'm going to fit an appointment here. I'm going to fit an appointment there. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make sure that my dials are consistent enough to get me this many appointments. Like, it's just those type of things. When you're paying that close of attention to it, there's no way you lose. Because whatever you
do you when you say like everything's completely like penciled in, you know exactly what your time looks like, how are you specific even with like the time that you're going to spend doing stuff with the wife, the kids, the family? Like, is everything kind of penciled and planned?
Absolutely. And you just make sure that you're not going off course. That's it. Like, you know, I take it as, you know, when you're going bowling and the kids like to put the railings up. The railings are up. So we're just going down this road. Now, how fast we want to get down this road, down that lane, and hit those pins. And that's all I'm doing. I'm just shooting down, hitting them down, shooting down, hitting them down. And I think when most people really look at it from that standpoint, then if I could do it, anybody could do it. I mean, I procrastinated for so long. I mean, I wouldn't say, hey, I couldn't have done it back then. I didn't have a reason to do it back then. You know, I mean, you're talking about, hey, you're looking to build a big business. You're looking to be a bigger example, and you're looking to treat the wife to some nice stuff. You know, it's time to go to work.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's not gonna, you know, it's not gonna be able to. I don't know. I just didn't want to make decisions based on money. And, you know, I'm going to walk that walk until I can't walk. So
did that shift take place, JP, where it was like, the procrastination phase? Because I think there's two big things you're saying. Like for me, the more structured that I have, the more intentional that I am, man, it's just crazy how, like, I love what you said. Like, you can get so much more from your schedule if you just heighten your awareness and know exactly what's currently taking the big spaces in your schedule. Like, there's so much more to get from it. But a lot of times, that awareness is never even like, heightened or even looked at, because you're just in this phase of procrastination. Like, I'm getting by, things are okay. And I've been there, man, where I fall into these seasons of complacency where I'm selling myself short, selling my business short, selling my family short, because I lose intentionality. I lose that structure when my eyes are not focused on why I'm going out there and doing this thing. But you said, my reasons of why I needed to do this thing, did that kind of like erode and negate procrastination, knowing like, hey, this is why I want to get after it?
absolutely. I mean, the more things are structured and this time you're going to do this, that's less time to do crap. There's people like, oh, I never noticed that I'm, on the phone just scrolling through, Facebook or whatever it may be. And it's just like, once all that stuff is happening, and it's just like, okay, well, I got to go do this. Like, if I got to go inside of, into an appointment, I'm not doing all this back and forth or paying attention to the small stuff. I'm like, man, oh crap, one of the apartments, I got to get this fixed. Then I'm like, what? Just call somebody to fix it, dude. You don't need to be there.
Yeah.
Like, let the money go while I go make more of it. So it's just, you start paying attention to these little things, and it's just like, and the busier you are, I feel like the better decisions you'll make, just from the standpoint of, what's more important? And that comes to play real quick. And it's just like, running appointments. I only have this time structured for family time. How much more do I want to get out of it? What kind of quality time I want to spend, with the wife? What are we doing as far as service? Like, all these things play in, and it's just, I don't know. I grew up a little bit. That's
good, man. I mean, because I think it's like, understand, like, why are we doing this in the first place? Like, why do you go out and knock on the doors? Why do you go show up to a mobile home park at 8 o'clock at night, and the lady that answers the door has got a thicker beard than you got, and you're like, I got to ping my location to JP. He needs to know where I'm at. But that's the stuff, man. Like, I think, for me, the more clear that I've had why I'm doing what I'm doing, then the stuff that distracts and doesn't lead me to that outcome, it just, those things become a lot more brighter, so I can notice them and see them and say, man, this is really messing me up. Me going through Facebook, or me doing this, or being distracted with that, or even thought process, the broke thought process, like, these leads are not working out. I mean, that's almost negated, because you, in your mind, these leads have to work out, because I have to go out and write this kind of business, because I have to live the lifestyle that's so clear in my mind that I want to live for my family, what I want to do for my agents and help them out. And I think Sean Mike's always said that really well. He's like, why don't you audit your time? Like, are you really working 40 hours a week? Are you really working 40 hours a week? And so it's easy to say, well, I feel like I'm working 40 hours. I feel like it, but man, feelings are so fleeting. And a lot of times, we feel a certain way to either clothe ourselves from the procrastination or the bad feeling of not doing what we know we should be doing. But it's not until we're like, okay, we really want this to have happen, so let me now be more intentional and structure my schedule. And I think that's such a big thing, man, because it wasn't just like by osmosis or whatever that you went from writing 20K, 30K a month. Because, dude, to be honest, like, you weren't struggling at 20, 30K a month. You weren't like on the streets, like trying to figure out how to get your next meal, right? Like,
No.
you're making money. So to go from like 30, 40 grand to go to like 50, 60, 70,000, 80,000 in paid business, you're crystal clear that, hey, I really want this. Like, this is what I'm getting after. This is why I'm doing it. And I think that's a big point, man, for everybody to have an idea of what that looks like. Talk about your schedule real quick. Like, when you say every, hour is kind of structured, what does it look like from dialing to running appointments? Just kind of walk us through, like, what is the life, if I'm walking in JP's shoes for the next couple of days, like, what am I going through? What does it look like?
dude, you are working. Not that I think everybody thinks they're working, and like even when I'm traveling, let's say tomorrow, right? So my appointments is all done for the next 3 days. Now, normally I do 24 to 48 hours, but if it's if it's a situation like that, I understand I'm not gonna catch them all. I'm waking up tomorrow at 3:30, and I'm out the house by 4, catch a 6 o'clock flight, and be able to get to my first appointment between 8 and 8:30, and still work that entire day. Now, again, see, when you're busy, you don't have time for the hurt. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like you're in the game, you teach soccer and so forth. So it's just like when they're running, they're going after it. So I remember the picture you had put up, your little girl hurting her toe. I mean, she probably didn't feel it until the end.
Yeah.
Done. Then it's just like, whoo, man, all right. But while you're in the hunt, it's just that you're just gonna go, 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 go. Because how many people would actually do that? I mean,
Right.
I've had my biggest bonus check. I mean, I don't know if you've seen that post, but at that point, 7 day stretch, $63,000 deposited in the account. See, the thing is, I feel like I'm worth every single penny of that because I put in the work for it. And I wasn't, I'm not saying that to brag or anything like that. It's just, I'm like, man, people were saying, that's amazing. I'm like, not really. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
what's done. I mean, you could do the same thing. This person could do the same thing. I'm just here to show what's possible. And as long as you take it for that, I put my pants on, one leg at a time like everybody else. So it's nothing special about me. I just see more people. I outwork my situation. So
How do you feel like when you're in the hunt? Like, when you're just like, I'm just in the hunt, so I'm not thinking about the pain. Like, when you're in the hunt, like, how do you feel like about yourself? Is it rewarding? Is it fulfilling? Is it exciting? Is it like just like, man, this sucks. I got to wake up at 3 tomorrow. I got to go do this. Or do you feel like I'm fired up that I get to go hunt something?
that's exactly that. Dude, I mean, God's given me my health and I'm able to go run wild, and it's just like, I know I get to help families. I know that I get to help my family in the process. And it's just like, it's just all out because, I knew what my bonus check was going to be, right? And I'm like, you know what? I wonder if I could get a single deposit from America to match that bonus. And that's what I was trying to do, which I failed miserably. I mean, it was $16,000. I mean, but how many people would be, whoa, fired up with six? I'm fired up with 16,000. That was my biggest single deposit from them. But to have that come in the same day that $25,000 bonus check came in, I mean, that doesn't suck. It doesn't suck. But for the most part, it's just, guys, if I could just pour out everything that I know, it's just working, but doing 2 times what you're doing now. That's it. 3 times what you're doing now. To some, it's just like, when you start really looking at, hey, am I really working? Can you run 50 appointments in a week? I've done it. That week I've written 40 grand. Could we fit that much? I mean, don't get me wrong. My wife will only let me go so far as that goes. Hey, babe, I'm gonna sleep in the car and I'll see you tomorrow. I could be a little fanatic about it, but how fanatic are you about your financial situation? I'll say before, I mean, this is the only job I've ever had where you could be dead broke Monday and have 10 grand in your account by Friday.
Right.
In fact, like Wednesday, because how they pay. Jeez. But anyway, dude.
JP, like, so when you're speaking, man, I'm thinking like, sometimes I think we mix it up. So, you think like if I'm in the hunt and I got to go wake up at 3 and I got to do this, I got to do that, like, man, it just seems like that would suck and be awful. But what I found, man, is like what I think isn't most of the time when it comes to working. So like when I'm just like hanging out, I don't have anything planned to do and I've got white space on my calendar, dude, that sucks. Like, so what I think I want is not really what brings fulfillment, excitement, and moves me. When I'm attacking and I'm in the field and I'm on the phone nonstop and I'm talking to this agent and talking to that agent, working with staff, hiring new people, back in the field, all that stuff, man, like that's where I feel the most fulfilled is when I walk in my door at midnight and I've got a bag of the kill that I just went out and gathered over the past 12 hours. And when I lay in bed, I can think about like, man, I just went out there and I just fought and it feels good. But what you think isn't, because a lot of times you think like, man, that would suck. No, it's very rewarding, not just financially, man, it's rewarding just like mentally and like, it's rewarding, dude. It's fulfilling. And so, I can see, when I talk to you, I just know that you're in the hunt because you've got that air about you and you don't have that when you're working 30 hours a week, 20 hours a week with white space on your schedule. You just don't have it.
It sucks to go out and there's 3 appointments, 4 appointments. I think, I have anything you leave your mind just open to be thinking about, it most likely will be negative.
Yep.
So when you have 8, 9 appointments in a day, it's just like, all right, I just got home at 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I got to be back out by 6 just to get to over here or over there. I'm like, man, that's great. Like I wake up, I'm like, all right, I'm getting my breakfast. Who's gonna earn their paycheck today?
Right.
Hey, me, baby, woo! And that's just the attitude you gotta have, because that stuff is contagious. Then you start people in your team do it. Then it's just you're gonna start attracting. Like I'm hiring more clients now than ever before, and I'm like, man, what's different? I'm like, what's different? Like, hey, what could I do what you do? I'm like, yeah, man, I get to go around and mess with clients all day long. I used to have an office job and dress up, look nice, but not meet any of my clients, and I'm a people person. So yeah, if you're like that, by all means, and you get to help a whole bunch of people and meet all different walks of life. And and I love that most because you get to learn a little bit from everybody. So
I love that, man. So what does a lead strategy look like for you? Like, are you working, like, how many mortgage protection leads you get? Are you getting final expense leads? You have internet leads, like, or is it, what does that strategy look like for you?
80 mortgage protection, probably 20% final expense. I just put it, dude. Again, the weekends I try to go all out as far as the amount of appointments because I know more people are home. I can't get a lot of people home during the day on the weekdays, so that's where the final expense stuff could come in. But you just got to make sure overall, it's just, dude, there's so many different vendors. Like, all right, what's opening where? Where do you want to run? How many counties do you want to run? How strategic do you want to be as far as that? I could start in county A and end up in county B, but I just make sure it works out to where, how do I better explain it? To where it's close enough that I don't have so much lag time. So it's as if I'm running that one. It's as if those 2 counties are one big county. So if I'm north, I'm going to go somewhere in the middle. I'm going to go from north to south because that's going to take too long and I could fit somebody else in there. But it's just being real strategic when you're booking these appointments and being aware of, all right, what's where. Like, well, how do you run that much in one day? I'm like, what? I'm thinking, how do you not? If somebody at 7 o'clock in the morning, I'll go. That part doesn't matter to me. Like, somebody see you at 7, they're writing you a check.
Yeah. I always said after 9 o'clock p.m., my close ratio is 100%. 100%. Like, if you're seeing me at 9 o'clock plus, like, you're buying without a doubt. And see, like, I'm glad you said that your ratio is 80-20 because, we get a lot of people that, we talked to and it's like, the ratio is like 100% final expense. And then you get someone that's working mortgages, things like, I got to only have, like, every blend works. I think the concept to, like, highlight is that, JP, like, you think about your business as the employer, like, you're the one that's running your business. And so you've got to plan and think. Like, I'm positive if mortgage protection leads went away tomorrow, like, you would not skip a beat. You would sit back and say, okay, I got to get leads here. I got to get leads here. I got to use that vendor. I can make this work on these days, this day, that day. And so I think a lot of times when somebody's not going out there and seeing the result they want, they're not stepping into that employer role that they need to play when it comes to planning. The employer role says that like it's your business. You've got to plan the schedule out. The employee hat is once you've got it and your lead strategy is right, and you say Mondays you got to dial from this time to this time until you hit your goal, and then Tuesdays, Wednesdays you're in the field with this many appointments because these leads will lead to this many appointments. Dude, now it's freeing because all you got to do is put on the employee hat and go to work. Now you just got to go to work and work the hours that you put in place because you thought about it. But if you don't ever play that employer role and actually think about it, now everything you do each day, it's just you're being pushed and pulled based off of like situation, circumstances. There's no design to it. And it's like me hiring an employee and saying, hey, go upstairs and work in the office. They're like, okay. I go up there, they'd be sitting there, what are they going to do? Like, if I don't tell them, this is the login information, so what you got to do. Like, I got to give them structure. And I got to let them know what winning and losing looks like because that's how they feel good when they leave the office. People need, like, a lot of what everybody does on this call, a lot of your life is taken up by, like, what you do at work. And so a great amount of our feeling and how we feel good or bad is derived based off of, like, what we feel from work. And so, like, JP, that if you write X amount a week, like you've done a good job. And so now when you go and hang out with the family, you're not thinking like, man, I really let myself down. I didn't, I lost this week. I would fire myself, but you're like, I won. And then if you didn't hit it, you now know, okay, I need to adjust this and I need to fill in here and make sure that doesn't happen because you're the business owner and business owners don't let people step into their store and steal a bunch of merchandise when nobody's looking. They're always looking. And so I love that, man. I think that's a big point. Well, as we wrap up, man, you run more appointments than probably 99% of independent marketing organizations across the country. So you've seen a lot of clients this year, man. What's the biggest tip you'd give us when it comes to, being postured in the house? How presumptive are you? Give us some of that dialogue or dynamic that you've got in the client's house, that's allowing you to be so successful. And the one thing I want to point out too, that I just thought of is when you double your appointments, because I think JP said it, and I think that this is big. Like if you just double your appointments, like that fixes most problems. Like the year I got started with FFL and I had all this stuff going on, like, dude, I could have thought about a million things to tweak, adjust, but I simply just doubled my activity and that fixed 90% of all my issues. But the crazy thing is when you double your appointments, your ratio doesn't just double. It like triples because now you're in the zone, dude. Like you're like in the zone. It's like LeBron James. He makes like 19 threes in a row. That's when I would bet the most money in his next 10 shots because he's in the zone, right? And so there's a lot to be said with momentum and being in that zone that comes from that doubling factor. But give us something, as we wrap up from the in-home that that you've gathered from the last 5,000 appointments you've ran the last couple months.
Dude, here's the thing. So I come up with a plan for them. I let them know who I am, what I do, why I do what I do. And overall, it's just like, listen, I'm here to help. They know and understand that. They see the sincerity in my face. And I'm just telling them, I come up with a plan for them that's – because I don't – funny thing is I'm not confrontational. Like, I'm not. I make it make so much sense that they're like, huh. And I keep things so simple because people – if someone is somewhere in life where they know – you've asked all these good questions. You find out, hey, if you lose your job, if you become ill tomorrow, what does that look like for you? How long would your job be able to hold your position if you're not able to work? Well, I don't know. I think it's, I don't know, 6 months, 12 months? I'm like, okay, God forbid that, you're battling cancer for the next 18 months. Like, what does that really look like? Like, who's here helping you? Physically, who's here helping you financially? Because they'll pay you 60 to 70% of your pay for that first year, but all you're trying to do is recover. Then all of a sudden they're calling you back in, and they're like, "Well, listen, they're gonna force you to work, and if your body's saying no, what do you do at that point? Who's here? Where's the money gonna come from? How long are you able to keep this house if you're not able to get paid?" And you got to listen, let that sink in for a little bit and let them hear themselves talk about that hurt. Like, I, I don't know, man. I mean, I'll lose the house. I'll lose the house. I'm like, and you know what? And that's the one thing we're not going to let happen here. One thing we're not going to let happen. So here's what we're going to do. All right. This plan here, in the event of your death, pays off the house. If you become ill, you have money to be able to be taken up front. And if nothing happens to you, you know, you'll be able to pay off this house 5 years early. Now, any reason we wouldn't be able to put not just your family, but you in a good place, especially when things go bad, all right, all by just saving $52 a week. Any reason we won't be able to do that? No, I can do that. Awesome. Just need your driver's license and a voided check so I can finish the paperwork. Boom.
Awesome. I love that, dude. Well, so three things to that point. So like first you paint the picture through the financial inventory. And I think where a lot of people miss it, like, and this is where I got my close ratio went up significantly in the house, is the stuff that you just talked about, like asking the questions that could be like the harder questions to ask. But every time you ask a question, what you're doing is you've already painted that picture of what their scenario looks like in the financial inventory. Now those questions get them to live in that picture. So you painted it, now they're living in it. And you only derive emotion when they're actually living and experiencing. And what it does is it takes something that's not tangible, which is life insurance, and it makes it tangible based off the questions you ask. And then the silence, they're just like, they're sitting there thinking like, wow, this is what it's going to feel like. This is what it's going to be like. And I love that, because once they do that, and they're feeling like, man, this feels like I could feel the weight. You then say, well, this is what, we're not going to let this happen. So then you partner with them and say, I know what that looks like, but good news is this. Me and you, I'm not going to let that happen. I'm not going to let that happen to your family. You're not going to let it happen because you're going to protect them. So then this is what we're going to do. Man, that's so good. And I mean, that right there, that's it. You know, if you want to go out and help more families, get that right, and your close ratio will look a lot more right. So JP, dude, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for jumping on and spending some time with us today, man. So thank you. I appreciate it, brother.
Dude, thanks for having me, man. Love you guys.
All right, JP, have a good one, man. See ya.